Thank you everyone for coming. We're super excited about this town hall. And I'm going to switch us over to the presentation. All right. Okay. And if you guys could give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen okay, that would be great. Awesome. All right, thanks for joining us today. Our topic for this town hall is going to be focusing on the ability to set goals after a program is over, after a project is over, keep setting goals and keep reaching for them. So we're super excited to share about this today. And I just want to briefly introduce the host today before we jump right in. We have Bernadette. She is the Nurturing Opportunities for Women Manager. We have Mariama with us today. She is the Community Action Program Officer. Vanessa is the Communications Supervisor. And my name is Taylor. I am the Donor Communications Officer. So yeah, thanks for jumping in with us. We're going to go ahead and get started. All right. So this topic, the ability to set goals and keep reaching for them, is closely connected to OneVillage Partners' pillar of resiliency. So we're going to share a little bit of context about that first. So for our theory of change, we have kind of 5 pillars, which are inclusive leadership, gender equity, social cohesion, resiliency, and healthcare and well-being. And these are things that, starting with inclusive leadership, it's kind of movements of change that produce connected, thriving, and just like healthy communities. And so this is central to our work. And our topic for today is connected to the resiliency aspect. So the way that we define resiliency is the ability to adapt and respond to external shocks. So when things come up, being able to bounce back from them, and being in a place of stability to do that. And actually, last year, 82% of households, after speaking with our partners, 82% of households felt that they were able to bounce back from an economic shock, which is obviously a huge increase from when they were first surveyed. So this is a really important part of just our work and the ability to have long-lasting change. We are excited to kind of talk about how this is measured and some of the goals that are produced or that come from programs and projects. Yeah, a really important component of resiliency is the ability to look ahead and being able to keep setting those personal goals for yourself or for your family or for your community as well. And some of the ways that we measure this for like in communities in our like with our partners is seeing like the improvement of quality of life with successful development interventions and advocacy, how communities develop and manage their project cycles, rural women being able to improve their well-being and income through agriculture, food security and productivity, reduction of vulnerabilities through sustained solutions to community needs, increased access to opportunities and livelihood options, increased chances to choices and opportunities through learning. So these are some of the ways that we measure this pillar of resiliency. This is also on our website as well. And they're all just like a lot of these are connected to just the ability to be able to plan for the future or respond to opportunities or things that come up. So a really important part of our work and definitely a really important part of just like long-term sustainability and goals and everything. So that's a little bit of our context for this. And we're going to talk about this more focusing on the NOW program and the community action program later. I'm hearing from Bernadette and Mariama, but I'm going to actually hand it over to Vanessa now to share a little bit more about the context of resiliency as well.
Thank you, Taylor. And so Taylor did a really good job at highlighting what we currently do now and how we focus on resiliency as an outcome now. But I want to take us a little bit to the past of Sierra Leone. So when we hear the word resiliency or the word resilience, it can be a double-edged sword. And so in the context of Sierra Leone, we're very mindful that the term does and may bring up, painful memories from the Civil War, from the Ebola outbreaks, and, so many things that have been happening in the country, from the pandemic to the mudslides. There are a lot of things that have painful attachment where Sierra Leoneans or people who were, or individuals in Sierra Leone have had to be forced to push through, extreme trauma, and, for the sake of resiliency. And so we understand that it carries a lot of weight in Sierra Leone. We understand it carries a lot of weight, especially in rural Sierra Leone, where being resilient is an expectation to endure suffering rather than recognizing challenges and, as we're saying, working towards them and setting goals to be able to overcome those challenges or bounce back, as we're saying. So what we want to do is focus beyond the trauma, focus beyond the topic of suffering and pushing through. And we want to show that we can, by giving individuals and by giving communities and partnering them, giving them the right tools and equipping them with the skills and the resources that they need to navigate through these, we're able to empower them rather than just put a band-aid over things, or put a band-aid over their situation, or put a band-aid over multidimensional poverty, but rather giving them the right skills and tools to empower them so they aren't just surviving, but as our motto say, together we thrive, but they really are thriving. So we want to shift the narrative. So within the Sierra Leone, especially in a non-profit context, we are very mindful that even though resiliency is an outcome for us, we don't want to foster that old and negative and really unfortunately hurtful way of pushing through, but rather we want to create partnerships and systems where our communities can not just endure or to see how much they can endure, but in a way building those systems that they can actually progress without derailing. Because during these community projects, during the community action program, the nurturing opportunities for women program, as you hear, there are so many ways that they're empowered and there are so many tools that they learn. And we feel that it is our role to actually really foster that and to ensure that as they have learned these tools, struggles unfortunately are part of life. So how can we make sure that this doesn't, things don't derail them, but rather they're able to bounce back, as we said. So I hope that we keep that in mind as we do use the term resiliency. I know we it is a positive word, but we just have to think that in the notion and the context of Sierra Leone from the past, it can be seen as trying to push through. So that's what we're talking about. I'm very excited because I know as staff, obviously, I know the great work that we do. So I'm pushing that over now to Bernadette, who's now going to talk about it, talk about individuals and community goals that are set, especially in the NOW program.
Thank you, Vanessa, and welcome everyone to the town hall. So what happened next, individual and community goals? After the NOW program, after participants have gone through the NOW program, results after going through the NOW program, like for example, we see that the participants improve their saving habits and also improve their income through savings. Also, like the programs guide participants to stop taking risky loans, to know the problems that come along with taking risky loan and focus on saving from their resources. We also engage the participants. The program guide and engage participants to be engaging in different farming activities that we enable them to reach their individual goals and be able also to save up. For the program, we also mentor the participants to use their income from the NOW 3 activities, which OneVillage partner supports the women out there. You see that out of the farming activities, they will be able to use the income generated from the farming activity after harvest to take care of their family responsibility and also to save up and serve, also give out seed banks to the communities. We also encourage these women to be using the income that they receive through the support from the agricultural activities for themselves, and also give back to the community, because we expect them that they'll be using these seeds that they harvested from the NOW P3 agricultural activities to serve as a seed bank in their community and be able also to provide food security and well-being for their families as well. How do we support our partners as they work towards their goals? The NOW program, we adhere to guide the participants to put their goals into a timeline, because we believe like them putting their goals into a timeline, we be able to choose a realistic goal and also help them to be achieving these goals a bit by bit, one step of the other. We also encourage them to recognize the various assets that they have within their community that will also help them to reach their individual goals and also at the community at large. These participants, through the learning, they'll be able to distinguish between their short and long-term goal, that we want them to focus on a short-term goal that they'll be able to work within throughout the program. Then after like completing the short goal, it will serve as a backbone that will enable them to also keep working on their long-term goal. We also teach them about the risks when borrowing money, in as much as we want them to be saving on frequent basis. So like we explain to them the risks while borrowing money, and also aid them to be able to know how to manage repayments in case they have to borrow money to invest on. We also like train them, they be able to demonstrate how to use a budget. That include like knowing how to stay within their budget, how to calculate their income and also expenses that they are having from their various farming activities or petty trading.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bernie. And now we're going to move on and we're going to hear from Mariama.
Yeah, I want to say bravo to OneVillage partners for the incredible work that we are doing to ensure that communities are being capacitated and improved to be able to identify and act on their personal goals as well as community goals. Community are introduced to OneVillage partners' model of development through the collective engagement of the entire community members. As we have seen over the years, how community members have demonstrated this in the following ways. We talked about commitment to attend community meetings and to learn from our programs. Also, we create a platform for everyone's participation. And let their voices be heard, especially for women. If we all can rethink, before this time, women were deprived. Women were pushed at the back. The voices of women were not being heard. But for now, there has been so much improvement. We now see where leaders push women at the front line to speak in public. Women are being made as ambassadors to represent their communities in other communities. So that also is another way of community improving their goals. And also we talked about commitments to attend, commitments to willingly volunteer to be part of the program, where they can learn basic skills, or they can improve their capacity building. Like we talk about the leadership skills, we talk about communication skills, community mobilization, project design, and even household management. You know, through the learning gained from our community and meetings, what happens? They are being able to put into practice by individual community members to achieve both their personal and community goals. There has been an evidence from our most significant change story. We are a community member who we are not directly a volunteer, none a now participant, putting learning the goals either from the community or participants and achieving their goals. If we want to reference, we can reference the 2023 most significant top story that came up, where Madam Mary, who was a community member, was marginalized by her late husband's family. So what happens? This woman was deprived she was maltreated, but because of the aid she got from a now participant who cascaded the training that she got from the now lessons, was able to achieve her set goals. This woman was able to send her children to school, fill the family, and the likes of it. And today, as we speak, Madam Mary is a successful woman who can cater for herself and her family independently. And we say through the learning, what happens? Community gain knowledge. And we say, what are the steps do our program put in place to support these community members to achieve their goals? As OneVillage partners, we all know that we are there to guide and support our communities to take ownership of their development by focusing on their individuals and community goals. And we do this through the following ways. We encourage communities to identify committed volunteers to represent them in their communities. After they have identified these committed volunteers, what we do? We provide capacity building trainings on leadership, communication, project management, project design, and also good facilitation skills. After that, what we do with our guide and support also, these trained volunteers lead their community in identifying their community priority challenges. And also, the community members collectively set their vision through an identified priority needs with a set goals to improve their well-being one at a time. Their most priority needs is developed into a project to address one goal at a time. Example, we talked about the latrine project. The latrine project is there to address open defecation and also diarrhea-related diseases. These are done through community-wide education, and community members learn from those processes and replicate them to achieve their individual goals. By encouraging these community members to set their own goals, they develop a stronger sense of accountability and invest in achieving their individual and community goals. This helps community to take ownership of their development priorities and making them sustainable as people feel responsible, continuing progress even after our support. They will strengthen local leadership and ensure long-term community development and resiliency.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That wraps us.
Thank you so much.
Oh, sorry. Did someone say something? Well, I think that wraps us up. Thank you so much, Marima. We're going to head into the Q&A. And so I'm going to exit out in just a second so we can see each other. And we have about 10 minutes or so to answer questions, just have a conversation about the topic in the presentation that we just heard. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them at this time.
We've got the meter on.
Just like to Vanessa's comments I thought were really important about well, all the comments were great, but the point about resilience is a good one, right? Because we can say resilience is a strength, but really, like, they don't want to be resilient because there's so much suffering. They want,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they adjust to challenges that come to them because they have to, but they're really struggling. So you're saying we have to make them stronger so they don't have to rely so much on resilience. And I think that's really important. So when I say resilience, it's more looking back with respect rather than saying you need to continue to have it.
Push
But
through.
that was a
Yeah.
really interesting comment. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Thank you.
Frank, you gotta have a question.
Oh, Mina.
Oh,
Oh, Frank,
Mina.
you got a question? Frank, you can go ahead. It's all right. I think Mina. I don't know. Frank.
Okay,
Okay.
hello?
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, okay, no, go ahead, Frank.
Rita,
Yeah,
do you
I'll
want to
speak out.
start? Okay, all right. So yeah, thank you so much to all of you for your hard work. I'm one of the donors on this call, but I realize a number of you are employees or board members, and it's remarkable that this technology connects people that are thousands of miles apart from each other. But how is the expansion going as far as I know that, when I was there a decade or more ago, very much we were just focused on, Jokibu and Fondu and Pujihun, and now it's dozens and dozens of villages in different parts of the country. But you're now based in Kenema, I believe. And how is the expansion going to other parts of the country at this point?
I wanna let Bernadette answer that just because she's also been doing the Now programs in some really cool communities, some new communities now. So Bernie, do you wanna jump on that, and then I can finish off if you need anything? Yeah.
Yes, so before this year, you see that we are just around Donubuazis or Jacobo, or like we go into 1, 2, 3 communities. But for like the Now program this year, we are able to partner in 12 different communities, 6 at Skyland District and 6 at Kenema District. And also, to me, I see it as a great, like you moving, like training 120 participants to 480 this year. It's a great expansion, and we are seeing like diverse way, like improving it. Prior to now, we are just like considering smaller communities, but this year we are able to like expand in bigger towns. Like we have a big town in Jujuba going along Kailan District, and also the communities that we are engaging, they are not too far from Kenema. And I'm glad that we are making like a big change towards that. And by the grace of God, maybe next year we'll be also like having plan to extend in Kono District with 1,000 participants.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Answered it perfectly. I don't think I'll need to answer. Mina, do you wanna? Sorry, I saw your hand up a second ago.
Yeah, sure. I just had a comment. I just think this town hall is very timely. My sentiments are very similar to Jeff's. Some of you know what I feel about resilience in context to Sierra Leone, but given now that Sierra Leone is going through a more trying time infrastructurally and with our governance, this conversation was crucial, was very needed. So thank you all for not just holding this conversation, but being very intentional about your language and the work that we do. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, we've got 5 more minutes. Anyone want any comments or anything, even if it's not? Oh,
Yeah. I want to say something.
oh,
Yeah.
the speaker speaketh. Go ahead.
Yeah, like the man who was asking for the expansion. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can hear you.
Oh, okay. So, like for the ACT program, we are also expanding. Like we did our survey in 2022 in 10 communities, and we happened to select 6 communities. And based on those 6 communities, we have started working in 4 communities and left with 2 communities. So it is really great seeing communities, seeing OneVillage partners in different communities, bringing change, opening the mindset of community members, giving them knowledge. Because I believe in one thing, they say knowledge is the biggest tool or the biggest weapon you can give to someone for a change. So I believe OneVillage Partners is really trying hard to ensure that the well-being of community members are being improved.
So good. Thank you, Marima. And just to echo what Jill just put in the chat, yeah, we have increased to 50 communities, and that's, I wouldn't be able to tell you the exact number, but that's over 40,000 people. And so that's really exciting for us to see the numbers to the growth, and to see also, as we're going into these different communities, the as we like to say, the ripple effect it's having to communities closer to them. So we may not partner necessarily with one community, but the effects of partnering with a community is actually really affecting a lot. So there are many more numbers and many more communities impacted that we may not ever know about, or may just know glimpses about. But it's really exciting work, and it's really only growing bigger and better, I believe. I'm quite biased, but I think so.
One more quick comment, Taylor, is that okay?
Yeah.
Yep. You guys have been doing fantastic work, and sorry if my internet's not great, but you've been doing amazing work in the communities, but at the same time, globally, right, the cost of living in Sierra Leone has gone up, and the challenges in Sierra Leone are greater. So the work you're doing is more important than ever, but it doesn't mean that things are getting a lot easier for people.
Yeah. No, not at all. And I think for us, and I'll hope Bernie or Marima has anything to add, and that's why, I really put on the emphasis on these, the resiliency outcomes for us, because we think, okay, it's not getting easier, but how are they being able to respond? And so being able to have these trainings that, give them the tools and the trainings of saving and understanding how to have goals and how to have a proper timeline, things that we might think, it's kind of normal, but that's not necessarily the case for a lot of our community partners. So being able to respond to just the ever changing, status that is the Sierra Leone government as atmosphere, it's really great, because we're seeing it's not just a financial and monetary thing, it's really a mental thing, it's a societal thing, and it's really a camaraderie thing among communities, being able to come together and say, okay, we're trying our best, we have to reach this goal, things aren't getting easier, but again, how do we bounce back and how do we continue? So it's been really great.
Yeah, and that's just phenomenal that you said, we're up to something like 50 different localities now. Yeah. After, and Jeff, I know when you were in the Peace Corps over there, you were primarily concentrated in those 3 villages right near each other. And I know from traveling around the world, so many places are so rugged and remote and hard to access. And I know it's a lot of work to get into all these different areas. And so thank you all of you for all of your hard work. I know there's a lot that goes into all this. And thank you so much for all of your efforts.
Oh, thank you, Frank. We appreciate it.
And thank you, Frank.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for coming. Thanks for all of your really great comments and questions. This was a great Q&A session, I feel like. I'm going to put up one more slide just as we're getting ready to say bye to each other, just in case anyone has any like follow-up questions or like thoughts, if you would like to share later on, just a way to get connected and reach out to us. We have, you can send us an email, you can call us, you can follow us on social media. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming. Thank you to Vanessa, Marima, and Bernadette. You guys are amazing. And we just really appreciated seeing everybody and getting the chance to talk about this really important topic. So yeah, thanks for coming. Hopefully we'll see you at our next town hall in December.
Great.